Graham the gecko is gone. No, that's not the title of a children's book. Graham is an endangered Marlborough green gecko and he's been stolen from the Fiordland National Park Visitor Centre. I asked Greg Lind, the Department of Conservation Te Anau Operations Manager, how Graham's disappearance came about.
The staff who went to feed him noticed that the padlock was missing off his enclosure, which we call a terrarium. And then investigation found out that he wasn't. There was no Graham left in the terrarium.
When was he last seen there?
He was left food on the 16th, so he's fed every 3 days, and that was the last time that he had been seen.
And he'd been there a long time.
Yes. He'd lived in Te Anau for over 30 years. Yeah, that's a long time for a gecko, but obviously it was a very comfortable position that he had.
So he'd been in the terrarium at Te Anau, at the dock centre there.
Yes, yeah. There had been another gecko there years ago, but it actually had died. So this Graham was our sole remaining little lizard in the terrarium.
And you're certain that he's been stolen and it's not just a case of somebody's accidentally taken the lock off and left it open? No,
it was shut. Most people wouldn't have noticed that it had locks on the side. Most people, you'd approach it from the front and most people would be looking to see whether they can spot the gecko. But when the staff went to feed him, was yesterday, the padlock was actually gone, and the padlock snib was actually marked. It looked like somebody had actually maybe used a very strong implement, maybe even a bolt cutters, to remove the padlock. So if it had been inadvertently left off by our staff, which we don't believe was the case, the gecko would still be inside. So we are assuming somebody has come along and deliberately broken in and removed.
Why would someone want to steal him?
That is a $64 question, I suspect. Clearly we've got had lots of issues in this country with our rare and endangered geckos being smuggled overseas. We don't know that. It may well have been just a silly person wanting to do this for their own purposes. It could be more sinister than that. We don't know. But what we're saying is we really need some information from people that probably know that this has occurred. And it's a loss of an attraction in the visitor centre. It'd be really good to see that he came back and this matter was dealt with promptly.
Yeah, and does he need any kind of special treatment? You know, I mean, can he survive okay outside a terrarium?
It's pretty cold down here at the moment, and he comes from Marlborough. Marlborough is a reasonably cool place in winter as well. He would have to be properly looked after. They've obviously have a reasonably select diet, which our staff knew quite well. If a person who didn't know the diet of these creatures, they would probably struggle to feed them, and Graham may suffer the consequences of that. So who knows? But essentially, he could well be endangered.
So he's got a distinctive grey mark on his head. So if anybody sees him, what should they do? Or anybody knows about this, what should they do? There's a number of opportunities here. If somebody knows of the incident, they can anonymously call us or call us directly at the Te Anau office of the department. They can certainly, this matter's been put into the hands of the police as well, because it is theft, and it's a threatened species, so it is protected, and the heavy fines attached to endangered wildlife under the Wildlife Act. So, but if somebody just wants to quietly return them to us, we'd be happy with that as well. And that was Greg Lind.